there's almost like a blanket that's been on federal employees for a long time, and that's the union.
Mhm.
And that blanket's being ripped off right now. And you're going to see all the fights that you didn't have to fight, and now you're going to have to.
Very excited to have Mr. Jason Hall with us today on Voice of the VA. So, Jason, why don't you start with kind of introducing yourself and how you made it to the position you're in now and some of your background?
That's a long road. I would have to say, well, my name is Jason Hall. I'm a benefit organizer with Benefit Architects. I started out, I got out of the Navy in '08 and quickly picked up a job at Tooele Army Depot in Utah as a guard. And I actually went to my new hire class, and I actually love telling this story because my union president then he basically said, "Hey, you want to join the union?" I'm like, "Why?" And he couldn't really tell me much, so I didn't join the union.
Yeah.
Then I, went through my career, and I had some issues. Basically, I didn't fit into their clique or their niche, their group, and my supervisor didn't like me, so he tried to make things hard on me. I felt like I was on an island by myself, and I tried to talk to the union, and union really wasn't any help back then. Probably shouldn't be saying that.
No,
but
this is the origin story of Jason Hall,
I
so
know, but
it's
still. My best friend actually got into the union, went up in it, and became a chief steward. Then he got me in it, became vice president. Then I went to president. He went to vice president. And we really changed things on that installation. And our membership skyrocketed. It's still good today, which is awesome. And that's a legacy that means a lot to me. But I was actually raised deep red Republican. And I learned that the union isn't red or blue, it's purple. It's for federal government issues. It's for being there when you actually need it. There's a huge misconception with AFGE or the union in general that only people that get in trouble go to the union. Well, problem with that is, yeah, people that get in trouble go to the union, and the union helps with the process. They don't protect what they did wrong, but they protect the process because everybody has that due process.
Right.
So back to my story. Sorry, I digress. I then was asking about the benefits because I brought in, at the time, his name was Gary Lindsay. Awesome guy. He'd come in and do the benefits, and I learned from him. And I was like, well, how does somebody do the benefits? What does this look like? And I met with some people and got picked up to do, I tried to get on with AFGE for an organizer or representative. And then I went over to Las Vegas to do the benefits, working with Linda Ward Smith.
Okay.
And
love her.
Absolutely. She's amazing. But we took that membership from about 600 to 2,200.
Wow.
Could not do that without her leadership. I can't say that enough. But she empowered me to do the things that I do well with benefits, whether it be the insurances, whether it be helping people just through the national benefits on the AFG website, showing people how they can make their dues free. Dues are, whatever it is per paycheck, and I try to save them those dues. So back to the story. I worked really hard in Las Vegas, and then I started working out of Reno. Then I started working I did a little in Wyoming, Montana, Oregon, kind of spread out, and I've met a lot of great people. And then a couple of years ago, I went to Virginia, Richmond, and now I'm working there. Everywhere I've been, I've seen that it doesn't matter the political views, all the background stuff, the noise, like I thought it was, and the way I was actually raised to be anti-union. It's there for the employees when they need it. whether that be day one in orientation, because we try to help people with all of their benefits, or retirement, when you're retiring, and help you through that, and everything in between. And that's really the makings of that. So
That's great. We've talked a lot about this, and I can tell that you love doing what you do. You're very good at what you do. What are some of like your favorite things about, working with new employees all the way up through, rank and file to veteran bargaining unit employees? What's your favorite part of your job?
my favorite part of my job is the people. I get to talk to people every day, and all I'm doing is helping them through the cloud. It's so hard for, especially like new hires. You mentioned the Neo. They come in, they spend a week, and they drink from a fire hose.
Right.
So what I try to do, I come into the Neo, I try to give a concise presentation that helps, one, show you what the union does. The union president, like for instance here, Patrick, he does a great presentation. He's amazing. He does his presentation, and I do the benefits. He shows you why to be a union member, all the representation and legislative reasons. Then I make it easy and save you your union dues. Kind of like the other day when that person asked, why join the union? What's the negative to joining the union? They see all these positives.
Yeah.
What's the negative?
Right.
And I'm like, the dues. So that's why I make the best to try to save those dues, and to where people can be dues paying members of the union for free.
Yeah. And that's a great point. That's a great segue into the next talking point. And you were kind of touching on that in the NEO that I sat through and watched your presentation. And, you were listing all of the benefits of membership, which we'll go over that as well, because I think it's very important to understand that, joining AFGE, you get a long list of benefits that go along with your membership. And then, like you said, this person basically raises her hand and says, all I've heard are the benefits. What about the negatives of joining the union? Why should we join? We've heard a lot of negative things about, what's the negative of joining the union? And you looked at her with a straight face and you were like, the only negative is the dues themselves. But let me show you how I can help you make those dues free. And I was like, so why don't you go into a little bit of detail about your claim on how to do that?
Well, the dues being free is different for every individual. There's discounts on education. Throughout, it changes, don't get me wrong. There was a couple of years back, there was free associate's degree. That's not only for you, your spouse, your children, your grandchildren. That's education. That adds value, saves money. You've got travel discounts, hotels up to 60, 70% off, rental cars up to 30% off. Different things. If you're already going to spend the money, you might as well save money doing it. I definitely do not believe, in going out and spending extra money to save money. That's not saving. That's getting to do something. Right. But actually, I love comedy. I joke in my presentations. A lot. Anybody seeing this knows that. But I went to Ron White, and because of the service, I've got messed up eyes, messed up ears, fun stuff. Right. But so I want to be in the first 3 rows, or I might as well watch it on TV where I can turn up the volume. And this is real, for me. But his front row seats are $300 a ticket, actually $340. And I say it in my Neos. There's not enough, I'm not paying for that. That's too much money. But because of my union membership, I got that experience for $72. Wow. And that's the pieces of the puzzle that I help put in to help make your dues free. Don't get me wrong. That's not saving money. That's getting an experience you wouldn't normally get. Sure. But there are other things. There's a simple, I'm a huge Android fan. No, I'm not getting paid for that. But there's Apple discounts. Okay. A lot of people love Apple. Most time Apple doesn't give discounts. Right. You do with the union. There's countless online benefits. There's about 40,000. If you get on there and know how to use them, and I have people text me all the time, hey, what's this benefit? What's this benefit? How to use this? And I'll literally go on the site and I'll make sure they're a union member, and I'll copy it and I'll send it over to them and make sure they get access. that is the piece of the pie that I feel personally that I bring to the table is I'm going to help you through your national benefits. So you don't just see a screen, a bunch of subcategories and don't know where to go. And then I roll into the insurance benefits where, like I say, drinking from a fire hose in Neo, what are you going to do with which dental insurance do you pick? Which one of the 10 and why? Most people are like, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and hope they have a good one. Well, I actually walk you through and actually make sure you have one that meets your needs, whether it be with the federal government, whether it be with the union, or with your spouse's coverage or whatever may be. Right. That goes for vision. The health insurance is always through the federal government, whether it be DOD, VA, doesn't matter which agency, in this case, VA. But there's 30 of them. I'm going to highlight something real quick. One of the biggest things that changes every year is they change what prescriptions, what they cover and what you get charged for. Well, if you know how to work the OPM website, you can actually go on and see what prescriptions are covered on each plan and what they cost at what pharmacies. And a lot of people don't know that.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. And I have to rely on prescription meds quite a bit.
Well, and that's the thing but that's what the benefits groups, that's what BA in general does,
right?
Benefit architects, because we want to make sure that you're taken care of not only day one, because if you're taken care of day one, you'll stay a union member because we're giving you value. We save your union dues, walk you through your benefits, and it's a beautiful thing. Mm-hmm. A lot of people, just like me, when I go back to I said earlier, I walked in my Neo and I didn't see any value, so I didn't join the union. That told me that day that once I became a union president, I had to give everybody value day one, not just here's insurance for your job, which it is. Sure. It is.
Right.
But you give them value, and then it progresses through when they actually need it. Mm-hmm. Because undoubtedly, just like I get the phone call constantly for Benefit Architects has short-term disability with the union, where the VA does not. Well, I get people they call me up and they're like, hey, I just broke my leg. I'm going to be out for 6 months. I need that short-term disability. Well, I'm sorry, it's not going to cover you after the fact. Mm-hmm. And that's key. So I want to talk to him before that happens, right? Show him the value, right. Show him the need, and we progress. So when he does need it, he's not calling me and he's out 6 months without a paycheck. Those are the worst phone calls.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
The union gets the phone call and then they call me, hey, what policies, so we can walk through and help as much as we possibly can. And it's amazing. It's when you type it in and you're like, yes, they have this. Well, let me get the claim forms. Let me get this taken care of. And you see the blood rush back into the client's face. It's the union taking care of them outside of the employment. Mm-hmm. And it's the exact opposite when they don't have it. Right. When they don't have their needs met.
Yeah. Like you said, there's so much more than just the benefits that should encourage one to join EDUs, right? We were talking before the show, for those that maybe have a lack of faith in joining or continuing to re-up their membership.
Right.
What is the messaging that we can give to these people to say, this is why you should continue with your membership. This is why you should join EDUs.
So I say this probably more times than I should, and it's not my quote. I can't remember who said it, but those who are ignorant to history are doomed to repeat it. Mm-hmm. Well, right now, we are in a process of showing our value because there's almost like a blanket that's been on federal employees for a long time, and that's the union. Mm-hmm. And that blanket's being ripped off right now. And you're going to see all the fights that you didn't have to fight, and now you're going to have to. All the things in the contract, whether it be dues, whatever it is, they're codified in law. Mm-hmm. They're just spelled out in the contract. Mm-hmm. But we had to teach them through lawsuits and things to get those things. And they decided instead of fighting this battle in a court case every week, we're just going to give it to you codified in a contract.
Right.
The contract is as much making managers do what they're supposed to do so they don't cost lawsuit money for the federal government. To go to your e-dues point, why, okay, if the union isn't, so I hear this a lot of times, well, the union doesn't do anything for me. A lot like me when I was on early on, I had blinders on and I didn't see what the union was doing because I didn't know that blanket. That blanket was just there. I didn't know. It was just the warm. Now it's going to get ripped off and people are going to start seeing all the things the union does and has done for years without them having to fight. Now they're going to have to fight to put the blanket back on. So I encourage everybody to get on e-dues because the number one thing that allows that blanket to be there is the funding of it. Because, yeah, I have a lot of knowledge, but I can't be everywhere. And I'm only benefits now.
Right.
And there's a lot of reps and a lot of NRs and a lot of good people across AFGE. I've got a lot of friends that work very hard every day, but they can't be everywhere. And that funding, it will diminish those people being there. And it's going to be, if you know, you know. If you don't, knowledge is power. I come from that base that I talked about earlier where there was no knowledge of all of this. And we had to recreate it. So I've kind of lived without that blanket and put that blanket on. So seeing you guys go and seeing that blanket ripped off, it's painful to me because I care.
Right.
And so the e-dues thing is the simplest thing on e-dues. If anytime the government is trying to take away your ability to be a member of the union, you should ask yourself why. Your union membership is the most important control you have to have a voice and to have power and authority in what happens to you at work.
Exactly. And if you don't sign up for e-dues, you lose that voice.
You do, because what a lot of people don't know is we traded certain concessions we traded an open shop for we have to cover the union has to cover the contract. There's different concessions not to strike because as federal employees we can't strike.
Right.
Different things for official time. But they start stripping those, the other side's going to go too. And so all the people that think they're covered that aren't paying dues at one point won't have to be covered. That's part of that contract.
Right.
So that blanket everybody thinks they have, it all goes, and life is a revolution. You circle of events, it's an ebb and flow, and it just matters how far you want to go this way to how far you want to go this way. And realize that most people in this country, I've talked to people in Montana, in Oregon, in Washington, California, in Alabama, in Florida, you name it. 80% of this country is purple. They care about how it affects them, prices and goods. They care about, their beliefs and their whatever their structure is. But most of us in this country agree. Now, if you say key words that we've been taught through news and so forth to trigger us to go, I'm over here. I took a test. This is probably about 10 years now. I took a test and my wife took it, her brother took it, a bunch of people, and we all said what we thought we were in the beginning. And we kind of went through it and we took the test and it was, asking questions and dialing us in. It was pretty long and asked questions like many different ways.
Sure.
And every single one of us came out right in the middle.
Wow. Yeah.
It's society pushing you to extremes.
Exactly.
And there's only 10% really on those extremes. And people get caught up on certain things on either side.
Yeah.
The thing is, the moment we actually figure out we band together because we all believe very similar things. We care about our children. We care about our working environment. We care about our family. We care about our beliefs. You get through all of that, and we're all on the same team. And once we realize it, we'll be very powerful again. Meaning everybody, not just the union, as a society, as a community.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel very strongly about.
Exactly. We are all in this together. There is no way that we can win unless we come together and we fight these collectively. So get out in the streets, join these rallies, make your voices heard.
Always be peaceful.
Always be peaceful. Make your voices heard. And, you know, mobilize, encourage people to join EDUs. Like, all of these things are how you can get involved. You know, one of the major questions that I like to answer, what I see come through is, you know, I want to get involved. We have this new, like, renewed passion for people getting involved in the union. You know,
Yeah,
it's like,
I've seen that.
How can I get involved? How, you know, they're passionate about it, right?
Because the blanket's gone.
Exactly. So my first thing is join EDUs. And they were like, well, why is that the first thing? Because you touched on it earlier. EDUs is the way that we send out the people who are experts in their field to fight these things for us.
Definitely.
You and I can't do everything. You and I can't be the ones, these new people, they can't be the ones to do it. We have to fund our legal teams to go out and litigate. We have to fund our mobilization departments to go out and mobilize and encourage people to join. Yeah, so things like that. We have to fund. And even yesterday, we had hearings on Capitol Hill. That's another major way that we can be pushing back on these executive orders. How can we fund those? EDUs. So that's why it's always point number one. So the last talking point that I want to touch on is your perspective, your experience, your service to this country. Thank you, by the way, for your service. One of the strongest talking points that I would like to highlight for everyone watching this is, on both sides, the impact that these executive orders have on veteran care. The main focus here is, what is this going to do to the veterans? So if you can shed a little bit of light on that from what you're hearing, from what you've seen, getting your own care, how has this impacted so far?
As I walk through VAs, because I do the benefits for the employees and I see them all the time, and I hear this morning a psychologist has to do the job of 2 and 3 different employees because the hiring lag. That, I mean, 8 to 12 months to get somebody in, and then you've got to train them. That right there, what kind of care is that psychologist doing to help our vets? What kind of, and we're talking about mental health. I mean, what is that doing? I recently went to a recently opened clinic, okay, an HCC, and half of the departments can't open because they can't hire right now.
They don't have enough staff.
What kind of care are those closed departments doing? What kind of lines is that causing? How much further are we having veterans travel? What does it say about us as a country that we want to turn a blind eye to hurting veterans? Calm myself down because I will get pissed. If the lines are getting longer and government is choosing to do this on purpose, why? You want to say, government wants to say they want to be more efficient? Is longer lines more efficient? No. You got people with that are about to be given an award for an awesome employee, and then they're terminated saying for performance.
They were getting an award for performance.
For performance, and now terminated for performance.
Yeah.
Literally in almost the same day. That's not waste, fraud, and abuse. We as a country need to pull the blinders off our eyes and see what's going on. Go down to the VA, talk to veterans. Get your own opinion. Don't take it from me. Get other data points. But I will tell you, what I see is not good. You've got veteran groups starting to stand up because they're seeing it. And they're seeing the difference. So I'm very passionate about this. I'm very grateful. I always say that I am as grateful to the Navy as the Navy, because it was a symbiotic relationship. They catapulted the rest of my life. They definitely made me better than I was. I wouldn't be here today without them. I wasn't going to tell this story, but I'm going to tell it. I got off active duty in 2008. and I have PTSD. And I wasn't going to go to the VA. I didn't feel like I needed to. The lines were so long. It's kind of like it is today, that I felt like other veterans needed it more than me. I did not want to push them back
Sure.
in line.
Right.
So I handled my PTSD. My PTSD, for anybody with it, you understand the words that I'm about to say. You wake up angry one day. That nobody made you angry. There's no reason to be angry. And with that, it would happen at least once a week. And because I didn't go to the VA, I went to the bar. Don't get me wrong, I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't fight. I didn't so forth. But I drank, I went home, and I slept, and I was good. That would happen once a week, to then every other week, then once a month, to now it's about once a year. I wake up and I know it, and I just take that day off because that day is a self-care day.
Right.
There are veterans out there that go through this that are just that have not learned to handle it, and they need the care. They need our promise to them. I heard it. I heard that word the other day. Our promise to our veterans, and it rang in my ears because honestly, I hadn't spent a lot of time getting my care at the VA, and I will tell you this. It matters. And as a veteran, I'm grateful to see, I see other vets that go through this, and I hear the stories, and you know what? Even a minimalist boot camp and A school can give a person trauma, let alone the sandbox and bombs, the blood, and the guts. So we need to take care of the people that we ask to fight for us.
100%.
And the moment we forget them is the moment we're wrong. So
I think that's it, sir. That's perfect. Jason, thank you. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for
brother,
your service.
Thank you.